What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So ever since the PlayStation 5 release now 2 years ago, it's basically been impossible to find one of these systems reliably. But recently, supply has been getting better, and that now has led people to talk about a new PlayStation 5 console that could be coming out next year in a bit of a different form. We'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about some more of those holiday and Black Friday sales as they are popping up and being announced, and actually included one game that really surprised a lot of people because it just came out the other day. And we'll also be talking about the situation with Xbox, Activision, and the CMA, as a recent post really had a lot of people scratching their heads. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with God of War Ragnarok. Just came out last week. I am really enjoying my playthrough of this game so far. I'm a little more than halfway through, I believe, but something we were kind of expecting is it to do really well in terms of sales, and we have our first indication of this as it will be topping the UK sales charts, and in fact, looks like it's going to be outpacing any of the other releases in the franchise. We can see this posted up over on gamesindustry.biz, where they say God of War Ragnarok will debut at #1 and is the first cross-gen title in the series. Day one physical sales were already greater than any other full-week launch sales for other titles in this franchise. They go on to say that 55% of PS5 console sales this week are part of the God of War hardware bundle. Not surprising that this game may have pushed some people over the edge to get the new PlayStation system, and hey, there's a bundle, I may as well grab that. And we've seen Sony seemingly work to push out a lot of PlayStation 5s to go alongside of God of War, and I'm not shocked to hear that it's doing well. God of War 2018, according to Sony in their latest report, 23 million copies. I expect Ragnarok to eclipse that. So hey, fast start here for God of War Ragnarok, good to see. Also, we did get the official announcement and press release for investors for Control 2 from Remedy. We can see this posted up over on their investors website, where they say Remedy Entertainment signs a co-development and co-publishing agreement with 505 Games for Control. Now, this was a pretty detailed write-up going into some aspects of it that you'd be surprised otherwise, but this is for investors, so it makes sense when they talk about their initial development budget being 50 million euro. Them also talking about retaining the ownership of the game's intellectual property, the development, marketing, and post-launch investments, as well as the future net revenues generated by the game will be equally split between 505 Games and Remedy. They also named some of the platforms it'll be on, which includes the PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series, and it will be built on Remedy's proprietary Northlight engine and tools. Now, when is this coming out? They just say it's going to be a while, and that's kind of expected since it's in, according to them, the concept phase. This is mostly them talking to investors saying we have something new in the pipeline and we're going to make Control an entire series. But it could also be viewed as a recruitment tool to get developers on board to work on the next game in the Control line. And Control, I liked it. I think other people liked it more than I did when it got thrown into the Game of the Year nominations, but still, it was a quality game, and I'm curious what else they can do with the series. It'll just probably be 3 or 4 years before we find out. Oh, and here's a fun discovery. Tactics Ogre Reborn, of course, just came out, and it released to the Switch. Also, it appears that you can use a keyboard and mouse setup with this. Yeah, take a look at this. Posted up over on Nintendo Life, citing the Switch subreddit. This from a user saying, I found it strange that the keyboard shortcuts were displayed in the config menu. While nothing is written on the box, plugging a USB mouse and keyboard works directly, and you can play the game this way as it was the PC version. I also tried a USB dongle for a wireless Dell keyboard mouse combo, and it also works no problem. Now, there are some Switch games that will use keyboard and mouse controls, but they don't really advertise it much on the box. So interesting that you can do this with Tactics Ogre, and I can see how that would work out maybe a little better than a controller using a keyboard and mouse for a strategy RPG. So hey, give it a shot and see what you think. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with a new PlayStation 5 console that's reportedly set to go in production here in the next couple of quarters. This we can see posted up from theleak.co, so pretty straightforward there. The PS5 Slim is coming in Q3 2023. Now, this is posted up several days ago, but I kind of wanted to see this one unfold because I was looking around a bit, and I do think there's something to this, believe it or not, that Yeah, while it's very difficult to find a PS5 still, we could just have a whole other PlayStation 5 come out in the next, I'm gonna say 10 or 11 months. But in this write-up here from the leak, they do describe some of the differences that we can expect from this. It, of course, being a slimmer design that will reduce the overall weight, size, it'll have less voltage, runs cooler, and it will use a die shrink, which is something that we've seen Sony already play around with for some of the revisions that have been very quiet within that PlayStation 5 system. They have been working to shrink down the motherboard and everything else around it, making it lighter. So this seems like an end goal they've been working towards over the last couple years. The other part that was kind of interesting is they're going to work on that stand, which that was a whole thing, even though it's just like you could use a coin technically to screw it in or unscrew it. The idea here is more or less to streamline and make it a bit easier to use, so it'll be built in to the PS5. Essentially, you won't need the stand if you want to turn on its side to stand it up and have that kind of that floating effect. And according to the leak, it's supposed to start being produced in Q2 2023, looking for that Q3 2023 release, obviously setting everything up for next holiday. Now, with this report going out, Tom Henderson also commented on it, saying, "I'm certain this is the PlayStation 5 I reported on previously, as their production and release times line up perfectly with the production and sales numbers I have." Now, if you're unaware, Tom Henderson talked about the PlayStation 5 that would have the optional disk drive. Basically, Sony would only have to produce one PlayStation 5 system, and if you wanted a way to play Blu-rays or your physical media on it, you would buy that external drive, and it would kind of lock in and use a USB Type-C port on the back. It's a way for Sony to streamline their production all the way around, but also, in this case, they would produce a lighter, slimmer PS5 system, because we all look at the PS5 and realize that it is oversized. It's a very large console. So yeah, slimming the thing down would be a welcomed, I would say, product. And it would also work to kind of make it more distinct and separate it from the current PS5 that I assume Sony would then work to discontinue and phase out. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, that seems pretty fast, but if you look at the timeline for the PlayStation 4 Slim, this would match up perfectly. It was about 3 years, maybe a little less. So with the PS4, came out in 2013, and then leading up to the holiday of 2016, the PS4 Slim came out. So we lead up to the holiday in 2023, the PS5 Slim comes out. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. It's just been weird because normally by now the PS5 would be plentiful. It would be in stores. It wouldn't be that big of a deal to find one. So we'd come up to the Slim and be like, oh, cool, just another model. Now it's like, oh, wow, a PlayStation 5. Just at all, finding one, that's a big deal. But we'll see how this continues to unfold. I'm sure more and more people will be looking into the idea of a PlayStation 5 Slim as we head into 2023. Next up, let's talk about a big holiday sale. This one coming to us from GameStop. And there was a certain game that went up for sale and it was going up everywhere, and then it got pulled down, then it went back up. So it seems to be kind of fluctuating a bit, which we'll get to. But first, let's start with some of the GameStop deals that they have up for the Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation. If you look at their deals page currently, they do have one part set up just for Pokemon games. Seems to be like Sword, Pokemon Shining Pearl, Pokemon Snap. They have many of them up right now for $39, so not too bad there. Pokemon games, they end up retaining their value over time anyway, so not a bad collector's piece, I guess you could look at it that way. Moving over, though, to the PlayStation 5 section, they have MLB The Show 22 at $30. WWE 2K22 at $45. Battlefield 2042 has been on sale all the way down to $10 at some points, but I mean, there it is for $19. The Cowabunga Collection, though, $25. I want to remind you, though, these are all hard copies of the game, so a great way to kind of fill in the physical collection there. Ghostwire Tokyo at $25. The Sifu edition, the hard copied edition for Sifu at $25 there. Same with Kena Bridge of Spirits. $25. Oh, and Metro Exodus, that's the complete edition, at $10. That's a pretty good pickup there for Metro. Moving over to Xbox, some of the similar games with Cowabunga Collection at $20. WWE 2K22 at $45, Evil Dead at $20. And then with the Switch, same deal here with Cowabunga Collection at $25. They also have Catherine Full Body Edition at $15. Monster Hunter Rise, $25. Diablo 3 Eternal Collection at $25. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, $25. Crash Bandicoot 4, same deal at $25. And look at this, they have Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD double pack that comes with Sonic Forces. Well, I mean, I guess it's that situation of, all right, it's $25, you get Super Monkey Ball, but you also have to take Sonic Forces with it. As for the game that really surprised everyone, it was Sonic Frontiers. This seemed to go live across many different retailers, which included GameStop. In fact, that was the first place I saw it, but it also went live on Walmart and Amazon, and then it was quickly pulled down. Then it went back up, then it was pulled down again. For you can see this snapshot here from Wario64 saying that Sonic Frontiers on the PS5 is $39 at Walmart. And I did check this out. Yeah, it was live for a little while there. So I don't know if this is an error or if they do indeed have a sale that will be ready to go closer to Black Friday. But Sonic Frontiers at $39 might be a bit easier for people to pick that one up there. Maybe justify it a bit more than going the full 60, because Sonic Frontiers is certainly very polarizing online. In fact, that's something that we're going to be talking about next, which was mostly a big misunderstanding, it seems right now anyway, for Sonic Frontiers, with the director asking for feedback, but the literal translation kind of threw everyone off a bit. We can see this posted up over on Twitter from Morio, again, the director for Sonic Frontiers, saying, "I'm sorry I couldn't contact you because I've been busy since the release date. I'm relieved that the release date has arrived and that it seems to have reached everyone safely. We are checking the opinions of the critics and everyone. As you pointed out, we still have a long way to go, and we take this seriously as a global playtest." All right, that's the literal translation if you use like Twitter's translate, which uses Google Translate. According to people who actually were translating this with more or less the nuance to it for the differences in the language, it was just like, hey, we're trying to get feedback from people for this game, Sonic Frontiers. Let us know what we can improve on going forward, because it does appear that Sonic Frontiers is a formula they want to build on going forward. Now, I don't necessarily know if that means this game in particular will be getting updates going forward, and this kind of turns into a situation where there's just a lot of downloadable content and patches that alter and changes the way it plays, almost like a live service game, or if they're thinking, okay, this game is out, we'll support it with patches and bug fixes, but we're already thinking about what's next, Sonic Frontiers 2, or whatever the working title is for that game. And in that case, obviously, a lot of people are saying the pop-in, that I guess is an engine issue they have to resolve and figure out, hopefully for the current Sonic Frontiers, but at the very least, the sequel. I don't know if you can work that into the lore if you can't fix it, because it's just so distracting. But something else really with it would be the progression system overall. I know people point to the repetitiveness of the overall, well, each world you go to and you have to do the Chaos Emeralds and stuff, but I look at the skill tree, it doesn't feel that rewarding. And then I look at the idea of leveling up from 1 to 99 for attack or speed or ring capacity. And I'm thinking, why isn't it just like 10 levels? And each upgrade is a bit more meaningful, and maybe you tie those into the story and different things. So just a few ideas there. I'm still going through it. I'm in the third world now, and it's been a game that I pick up for an hour or two at a time and then put it back down. But in that hour or so, it is a lot of fun. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about that situation with Xbox, Activision, and the CMA, which apparently they've gone to the next level of their investigation, continue to really clamp down on the deal and looking into it further. And Call of Duty seems to be at the heart of this entire situation. But we can take a look at this tweet here. This is posted up by Ricardo Cardoso, and according to their bio, they're the deputy head of unit for EU growth. They say the commission is working to ensure that you will still be able to play Call of Duty on other consoles, including my PlayStation. Also on our to-do list, update stock pictures. These gamers have wired controllers, whereas Xbox and PlayStation have wireless ones since about 2006. Sounds like some pressing matters there with the stock pictures. But obviously, I mean, the parentheses, including my PlayStation, I feel like that was a moment where they were trying to, I don't know, make it sound like they're the big gamer who's like looking out for all the other gamers. But all that did was make people go, hold on, we're already asking a lot of questions as to why the CMA appears to be jumping in front of the train for Sony. Like, oh no, we're gonna stop all of this stuff from happening to protect Sony. And then you say that, and I mean, yeah, you kind of see where it went from there with everyone quote tweeting and piling on. But we can see this posted up by Tweaktown, who did get a response from the European Commission spokesperson. They say, as you've correctly pointed out, Mr. Cardoso works in the Director General for the Internal Market and not in the Directorate General for Competition. Mr. Cardoso is not involved in the assessment of this transaction. Furthermore, as indicated clearly in his Twitter profile, he tweets in a personal capacity. And that makes a lot of sense for the European Commission, but it's too late, and it's probably not going to matter to a lot of the people online who were replying there, because there already is that thought, as I mentioned, kind of the way that the CMA is leaning right now, with Sony almost calling the shots for a lot. Their arguments aren't making a lot of sense. But on the other hand, they're also using stock photos that have wired controllers, so who knows what's going on over there. Anyway, my biggest thing with this is I would like it to go through, because it's just constantly in the news and it's getting kind of tiresome at this point. I don't really see any good arguments being put up on one way or the other now, and it just feels like we're slowly grinding towards the eventual announcement that it has gone through. Call of Duty will remain on PlayStation, and then it'll just be business as usual afterwards. However, I think it's probably going to run all the way up until potentially May or even June of next year before it's all said and done, so we still have a ways to go. And before we go to the comments of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, would you buy a PS5 Slim console if it released in 2023? Yeah, 25% said yes, I still need a PS5. You know what? The one nice thing about the PS5 Slim, I feel like Sony would be able to produce more of them because they'll probably make it cheaper than it is now in terms of their overall cost and parts needed and all of this. And then we have 4% saying, yes, I would upgrade or add to my current one. 44% said, no, I'm good with my current one. And then 26% said, no, I'm not interested in the PS5. We assume it's going to play the same games. The current PS5 is already pretty quiet. It doesn't get super hot necessarily, or at least that I notice. And that was the biggest thing from the old PS4 to the Slim. The Slim was legitimately surprising with how quiet and cool that it was running. But I don't really feel like I need to move to a PS5 Slim because this one is super loud or anything. But if anything, hopefully that means that it will have more PlayStation 5s available for people who just want to get them. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from 29 saying, my question with the next generation Nintendo console, if it has backwards compatibility with Switch games, is will it have enhancement patches, for example, to get games like Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity, or Astral Chain to run at 60 because it doesn't the game have to be programmed to use the new hardware? Maybe with Nintendo's first-party IPs they'll do it, but Astral Chain, maybe not, because like with Bloodborne, there has yet to be an enhancement patch for the PS5. That's a good question. I feel like any game that's uncapped in terms of frame rate, like Bayonetta 3, we all know that has performance issues. It's in combat, it very rarely is locked at 60, but with a new Switch revision or next generation system that's backwards compatible, we assume the spec bump would make it so that Bayonetta 3 will run at its target resolution and a locked frame rate, maybe at 60. But if it's a game that's capped at 30, it could do more. It probably would need an enhancement patch of some kind. Will every third party go back and do it? Probably not. We don't even know if Nintendo will go back and do it for all of their first-party games. I assume their high-profile games, maybe like, hey, Breath of the Wild, if we get like a 4K Switch of some kind and you have that at a higher frame rate, that'd be pretty impressive. So here's hoping Nintendo at least has thought about this a bit and has a plan in place for it. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here. Today was the PlayStation 5 Slim console revision set for next year. Would you be interested in picking one of those up? And then also, what about Sonic Frontiers? Hey, goes down to $39. Not a bad pickup, but let me know your thoughts so far if you've been playing through it. And then the CMA, Xbox, Activision, when you saw that tweet, did it make you kind of wonder what's going on over there? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.